Hey, what's up, people? Do you guys want to take a look at what's inside this Panasonic FZ-EM256? Well, I'm assuming that's why you clicked on this video. Well, guess what? That's also why I clicked on this video. Hey, wait a sec. So, what is this thing? Well, if you're not familiar with it at all, this is a memory, basically a memory unit, as the name implies, for a 3DO game console that would have been used back in the 1993 to mid 90s. And it's basically the equivalent of we would have had later on with like a GameCube and a PlayStation, where we'd had like this small 4 megabyte memory card and the 8 megabyte memory card for like a PlayStation 2. Well, as you can see, there is a drastic size difference between these memory cards and this early memory unit for the 3DO. And this thing, as the name implies, holds a whopping 256 kilobytes of memories. So definitely a small amount in a huge package. And at the end of the cable, we have a 30-pin connector, and that would plug into the extension slot on a 3DO. So just plug in there like so. And there you go. You've got an extra 256 kilobytes of memory for game saves. Now, the console itself has 32 kilobytes built in. So this was definitely a bigger edition, so you could save more stuff. Volume-wise, this small memory unit actually is almost about like an eighth of the size of the console itself. So definitely not a small unit. And it looks a lot like it'd be a small external hard drive for the thing. But yeah, it's just for game save data. Actually, I'm not even entirely sure if it was just for game save data, if there was other things that you could store on this as well. But let's grab a screwdriver and take a look at what's inside. Now, as I remove the screws, there is a fun game I like to play, which I call Guess What's Inside, where we try to guess what's inside. And the rules are pretty sophisticated, so try to keep up. It's there's only one rule. We try to guess what's inside. So, judging by its size, I'm going to say that there's probably going to be several memory ICs on a board. And I'm not sure if it's going to be something along the lines of surface mount devices, such as this IC. And this is a 128 kilobyte memory IC. So it may have something like two of these, or maybe something along the lines of this. This is a smaller IC. And I think this is only like a 32 kilobyte memory IC. So maybe like several of these on a board. Or maybe something more along the lines of the memory ICs for like cache RAM for an old 486 motherboard, like these socketed devices. They are DIP packages. So yeah, I don't know, because it is SRAM. And so because it is SRAM, there's also going to be a battery inside. And the other thing is that I mentioned that there's a total of 30 pins at this connector. Well, that's just enough for addressing 256 kilobytes of memory, including, say like a 5 volts and a ground, and then the 8 data lines. But I have a feeling that it's probably not going to be all address and data lines. Maybe there's some sort of other interface IC between the incoming connector and the actual memory ICs. So let's see. Here we go. Here's the last screw. And it doesn't want to drop out. All right. Let's see. Oh, there's probably going to be shielding too. So let's see. Here we go. Pulling the cage off, and sure enough, there's shielding. Now, I could have looked up pictures of this, but I like finding stuff out for myself. So let's zoom in on this. As we can see, the board already takes up the pretty much the entirety of the inside. So there's 2 more screws. They definitely didn't want that cable to easily come out or anything. It's basically clamped down with this shielding, and then it's got extra sort of little box section in the back there to clamp down the cable. So looks like this should pop out. There it goes. There's the shielding. So I'm about to flip this shielding over, and let's see what's inside. Haha. So yeah, several memory ICs, similar to the one that I showed there. Looks like we've got some possibly 7400 series logic there, and another one there. We'll take a better look at what those are. And pretty much this is going to be like the interface IC. And there's our battery. So pretty close. Got a bunch of filtering for the incoming wiring, and look at all of that wiring coming in. So they're definitely pretty much using every pin on that connector. So let's pull the rest of this board out. We take a closer look. And there is more shielding on the bottom. So definitely wanted to make sure that this thing was nice and protected. And we can see that they also have the exposed shielding on the cable that was clamped down to the rest of the metallic shielding. So there we go. So what are these ICs? Okay, so looks like only 2 of these are actual SRAM. This one might be a flash ROM, or maybe even a one-time programmable EEPROM. And as we can see, there's a bunch of lines in parallel. So that means that pretty much all these ICs are connected to the same bus to that controller. And then this chip probably enables the chip select on the chip that it actually wants to talk to or put data into and whatnot. So on the other side, we're probably going to see a bunch of lines going from those vias over to that section. And yeah, there it is. So we got a lot of lines going from that area over to this area, and then all those lines, as we saw, are in parallel. So I'm going to guess that probably some of these 7400 series ICs are probably used as decoders also. So we've got 7400 HC00, so those are going to be inverters, and 74HC13 or 138. So that is a latch, I believe. Okay, no, this is a 1 of 8 decoder demultiplexer. So this is probably being used for selecting which IC the controller wants to talk to. So there we go. As we can see, these 2 SRAMs are GM76C 8128s. So those are, yeah, like I said, we're going to be 128 kilobyte each. And this second IC, I try to look up both of these numbers, and I'm not really coming up with much. So, but I'm going to guess that, yeah, this is like a one-time programmable ROM, and it just holds data for the controller, which is this other device. And if we flip it over, you can see that this is basically a 3DO branded part. So this is going to be some sort of a custom ASIC. And I mean, all those numbers are probably going to be internal numbers, but we can see we got a date of 95 or 26th week of 1995. So this was actually manufactured a little bit later towards the 3DO cycle, because it did not last very long. It was only available from 1993 to 96 or something like that, maybe even 97. But yeah, it was not around for very long. So yeah, there we go. Those are the inverters. And looks like these, what they're being used for is something with the clock circuitry, because as we can see, we have a crystal. That looks like it'd be a 25 megahertz crystal. So they're probably maybe using some of these to divide it, I would guess, maybe. Or maybe just to do some filtering before it gets to the actual clock input for this IC. And so there we go. There's a bunch of filters for the lines going in and out. This looks like a bunch of 10K resistors, possibly on a pole up there for maybe the data lines or something. We got a few more down at the bottom. Actually, these are going to ground. So yeah, a little bit of a different arrangement there. Although that one there does look like it goes to a positive supply. And I'm pretty sure that this stuff is all probably going to be running at 5 volts. Oh, there's a small chip there I didn't see. That says 6162. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find anything about that. That looks like it's got something to do with the battery. As we can see, the positive of the battery goes to this big trace, goes to 2 vias. Those 2 vias go to a resistor. It says 102, so that's going to be a 1K resistor. That goes into that chip, and then this looks like it's got that one there coming out. So that's probably going to be the positive supply. And then there's another via there that looks like that's probably going to be part of the positive voltage supply to this entire board. So this basically looks like what it's doing is it's isolating this battery from the rest of the supply, unless this is a rechargeable CR20. Oh, no, it's a 2354. Actually, this battery might be rechargeable, so maybe this takes care of both charging it and also kind of isolating it when the device isn't powered. Or maybe it's not rechargeable. I just looked it up. I'm not really seeing anything about a rechargeable battery with that number. So yeah, basically that's being used to isolate the supplies. What I've seen done in other memory cards is instead of using a dedicated IC, is that they'll just have a diode between the battery positive and the positive voltage supply to the memory card. I've seen that done with like the Nintendo 64 memory cards. That's how they have the memory arranged, or the power to the memory arranged. So yeah, that's about it. Don't really see anything else that's interesting on this board. So there we go. That's what's inside of one of these 3DO memory units, in case you were ever wondering, and I certainly was. And I didn't want to like look up any pictures of it. I kind of wanted to, explore it and see it all for myself. So maybe next time or some other time, we'll take apart the actual console and take a look inside of that, because I've never seen the inside of a 3DO before either, and I haven't really like looked up any pictures either. I like to experience the stuff for myself, so that's gonna do it for this video. Kind of a quick one for this week, because I've been kind of busy with other stuff, so I didn't get around to doing much of anything else. But yep, if you made it to the end, thank you all for watching. That's gonna do it for this one, and I will see you guys around the bench.